What is going on, guys? Ryan for Livin Salty here. Right behind me here we have Lil Salty, aka our new micro skiff. Just revealed this in the last video last week. If you guys haven't checked out that reveal video, make sure you guys go check that out. I'm gonna link it in the description below. But we are getting ready for its maiden voyage coming up this week. Currently, it might seem a little bit windy in the background right now, and that's because we are waiting out Hurricane Debbie, I believe it is. I think it's a hurricane now. Don't even know, but we're on Southeast Florida. It's really not affecting us, just a little bit of winds. But taking today to prep the boat, and this is just gonna be going over some general information on what to look for when buying a used boat, like how you're gonna prep for your maiden voyage. What are you gonna make sure? Make sure your lights are working, make sure your bilge pumps are working, make sure things are tightened. We're gonna go over all that kind of stuff today here with Lil Salty. And yeah, I'm gonna take you guys along. We're gonna prep our boat to go out fishing this week. Now, the first thing you might notice, which you did not see in the reveal video, is this magnificent cover here. This thing is absolutely awesome. Just pulled it off the side here so it had a little bit less tension, but it is a full cover that covers it all the way from the motor all the way to the trolling motor, the entire skiff. It even comes with these little patches that are kind of weighted down, but they have ratchet straps, so that way we can ratchet this cover on nice and tight. With this hurricane, it has affected this cover zero. This was certainly a nice bonus, and also something to look out for when you're buying used boats is covers for them. It also means that somebody took care of the boat by covering the boat and spent the money on a nice cover like that, because this is definitely not cheap. Certainly a nice little bonus to get when you're buying a used boat. There we are. Here's Lil Salty. It's time to unwrap her and start going through it and getting ready to go fishing. Alright, here she is uncovered now, and we have had a ton of rain because of that hurricane, and I could see there's a little bit of puddling up in water over here. Looks like over here as well. And the way this is sitting, obviously it can't drain out the back because we got it all the way to the front. Getting this boat up the driveway, pulling it forward, would be next to impossible, so we had to back it in. So let's see if there's any water inside of it. Open up the front hatch. Oh yeah, we got water. Alrighty, thankfully we just started this rainfall's only been like the past couple of days here, so it hasn't been there that long. But let's see, front hatch. Oh yeah, holy cow, that is a solid at least over an inch of water. Okay, I wasn't expecting to have to do this today, but we're gonna have to hook up the old Lil Salty to my truck and pull it out of the driveway, so that way we can drain all the water out of it, because we don't want to let water sitting in like that. That just will cause problems. So even though it'll be a couple days, we're gonna go ahead, hook it up. Let's get all the water out of this thing. Still got all the water up here in the front of the boat. What is this? See, this is the kind of stuff you gotta go through. It's like, why is there just a random plastic piece floating around here? We'll figure that one out. But we got the boat now on flat ground. Now we can unhook it from the truck, and we can lift up the front of the boat. That way everything will drain to the back. We got in-floor drains right over here that aren't self-bailing, so this boat is not self-bailing. It all has to come out through the bilge pump, or the hole, the scupper hole in the back. You can see this is our current bilge area. So we got our bilge pump over here, which we're going to test out today to make sure it works, and also we have our drain plug over here. So actually we're going to lift up the boat first, get all the water back into the bilge. That way we can test the bilge pump to make sure it's actually pumping water out of the boat, because that's one of the things you want to test before you go for your maiden voyage of your used boat, or any boat actually, for that means. You should be testing your bilge pump before you go out fishing every single time. It just says you're leaving the dock, throw it on, make sure it's on, you're good to go. We still got water in our anchor well over here, which I'm gonna have to figure out how that drains exactly, because I was looking at it and I actually don't see any drains over here. I'm assuming it would drain under the boat then, but we're gonna have to take a peek in here and try to figure that one out, how this drains. But this hatch did completely drain out. The floor is completely dry here as well. And you can see back in the bilge, we definitely have some water. So now is a good time to go ahead and test out our bilge pump. We're gonna go ahead and switch our power on. Just like that, bilge. Well, the bilge pump's working, that's for sure. We're pumping out some serious water. Perfect. Well, apparently my GoPro stopped working in the middle of that last clip about the bilge pump, so I'll reiterate it. Went ahead here and we have our plug. It's actually a plug on the inside, so the hole right here, I ended up just unscrewing it out. You can see, just like that, to let the rest of the water out. Usually you see plugs on the outsides of boats. I've never seen one on the inside of the boat like that before, but we went ahead and unscrewed that. The rest of the water is still draining out the bottom over here, but like I was saying, the bilge pump finally went on. It was kind of weird. I turned on the accessory and none of these switches were working up here, so I went ahead, switched off the accessory, was getting ready to plug in the shore power cable there, and then the automatic bilge pump kicked on while everything was off and drained out the water. So something we're gonna have to figure out real quick. My guess is the batteries are just drained, so we're gonna go ahead, probably hook up the power and test out all of our accessories. So I'll admit, it's now a couple days later, actually I think 2 days later, from that last clip you guys saw of that bilge pump not turning on, but then they kicked on automatically. Well, we'll make a long story short hopefully here, but basically our batteries were pretty dang dead. So whether the previous owner just wasn't using the Skiff a lot and wasn't charging the batteries, whatever the deal was, this boat has 2 batteries, right? So we're going to have, actually we'll just take it up and show you. So we got 1 battery sitting in the back of my truck over there. That battery is going to be our starting battery. Your starting battery typically is for starting your motor. It's going to power your electronics, power your bilge pump, your nav lights, all that kind of stuff, your essential stuff. Why is that all hooked up into that battery usually? Well, that is because those are your essentials. You always want to be able to start your motor. You got to be able to see where you're going. You got to have lights, especially if it's nighttime. Your bilge pump has to work. Your motor has an alternator on it, and that recharges the battery. So when you're running, you're constantly charging your battery. Opposed to the trolling motor over here, which takes a deep cycle marine battery, which we got 2 spots for batteries. There's where our starting battery goes. There's where the deep cycle goes. Now your trolling motor battery is not going to charge the battery. It's just going to drain it completely. Now the way this boat was currently set up was that the deep cycle battery had the trolling motor and it had all the accessories attached to that switch panel at the helm. So your bilge pump, your nav lights, your anchor lights, all of the lights that you need, your chart plotter, all their accessories are all going to be hooked up to that trolling motor battery. So theoretically, if you go out fishing all day, you use your trolling motor a ton, good day of fishing, you kill the battery in your trolling motor because of how much you used it, well, you also just lost your bilge pump, you lost your nav lights, you lost your chart plotter, you lost all your necessities to being out on the water. That is not ideal, especially on a boat like this. Ideally, you have 3 batteries set up, house battery, starting battery, and the battery for the trolling motor. But on a smaller skiff like this, if we had a 3rd battery to this anchor well, the nose of the boat's gonna be going underwater. So we need to put everything onto the other one. Now, after a lot of time here of figuring this out, I think I figured out which wires do which. So we're gonna try it out, and we're gonna hopefully be successful and right on this one, and switch all of our accessories over to the starting battery and have the trolling motor on its own dedicated battery. This just goes to show, guys, when I picked up this boat, everything worked perfectly. Turned the switch on, everything powered right up. 1 week later, here we are, already digging in. This is exactly what boat ownership is like. You don't panic through situations like this. You just sit there, go through everything, make sure it all works. I hooked up a battery charger to each of the batteries. The motor trimmed up and down. The chart plotter worked. All the lights worked. Bilge pump, everything works. It just needs to be hooked up to the battery charger. And that deep cycle battery was also giving us a little hard time charging. We're charging at 6 amps and it's taking a really long time. But if you guys didn't know, you can take your batteries to any of your local auto parts stores. So O'Reilly's, you got Advanced Auto Parts, AutoZone, all that kind of stuff, and they will do a load test for free on your battery to make sure it's good. Both my batteries, they say, are in perfect condition. The starting battery is now charged to 100%, but that deep cycle battery needs to charge for a little while. All right, enough yapping. Let's dive in and let's show you guys around the battery compartment here of this boat. Now we are going to go through and clean everything in this boat as well, but that's not going to be in this video. Maybe it'll be a separate video. But starting battery over here, lots and lots of wires, but I have it zip tied together as the positive and the negative over here. Now we're going to be paying attention to this trolling motor deep cycle battery. So you got your positive over here, you got your negative over here. Now we only have 4 things connected to the ground over here. So what we figured out is this ground right here that I'm holding is going to ground the 2 batteries together. So you can follow that along. It goes onto where that blue is over there. Grounds the 2 motors together. Perfect. That one's supposed to be there. Take a look at this one. This yellow one is actually, if we follow it back, is going to be an onboard battery charger, which we tried using to charge the batteries before overnight, and it didn't charge enough to turn on any of the accessories, so I'm not sure if that's working properly or not. But under this hatch here, we're going to find the onboard battery charger right there for you. Perfect. We want that one hooked up to that motor because there's 2 banks, so 1 for each motor. Now let's take a look. So we got the charger, we got the ground that connects the 2 batteries together. This one right here to the side with this red tape on it. If we follow this one back, it goes against the wall, which is going to lead all the way to our plug for our trolling motor. See, there's the plug for our trolling motor. The trolling motor has its own wiring harness on there. So that plug is the only thing powering the trolling motor. So that we definitely want on the deep cycle trolling motor battery. So we got the last wire here, this black wire with yet again red tape, connected to the green wire. We follow the green wire. Now, look at that. This green wire connects to a bunch of different wires in this big white tubing. Now if we go back and take a look at our helm, we can take a look, and what do we see in here? This is where all of our electronics are all wired. Not the best wiring, guys. We're gonna have to fix some of this, but it all comes down to a whole lot of big white tubing. So I believe this goes up towards the batteries, and that one is gonna power all of our accessories. Fingers crossed for me, guys. We're gonna go ahead, pop in our starting battery, hook everything up, and we'll see if it works. Okay, we got our battery hooked up here. Now we're gonna go ahead, it's the moment of truth, turn on our power switch. Moment of truth, let's see if anything works. The trim, okay, we got some sort of power. Now the lights, we're gonna be watching that light. Hopefully one of these powers those lights. That did not work. No, that did not work. No, no, it's seeming like my theory is wrong. Bilge pump's not on. Nope, nope. Would y'all look at this? We got trim. We got boom, 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 boom. All of the lights, they're all working. Perfect. Cabin, oop, do we not turn on the cabin lights? Bang, all working. There we go. We got the underwater lights working. We got the nav lights working. All of the freaking lights are working now. Let's go. It ended up being 1 extra positive cable I forgot to bring over. This guy right here powered on all of our accessories. Now all we gotta do is hope that that trolling motor battery works tomorrow. But it doesn't have to, because we don't need our trolling motor. We're good to go fishing tomorrow. Now that video of actually going out fishing is going to be a whole separate video you guys will see next week. This week though, we're going to finish covering over what we're going to be taking with us on our maiden voyage to make sure that our 16-foot micro skiff here is ready for the water. Make sure we're US Coast Guard approved, safe, and ready for an awesome day out on the water. Good morning, good morning. It is go time. Today is the maiden voyage here of Lil Salty. Let's get to work. So the first thing we're gonna be doing is gonna be taking care of our trailer here. So you can see there's no cap on it currently on the bearings over here. And we are going to go ahead and throw a cap on there and grease them up so that way the trailer is good to go. So this skiff, although I keep saying it's 16 foot, actually is titled as a 1511. So we fall under the category of US Coast Guard of under 16 foot vessel, which means we have a different set of requirements than the 16 to I believe 24 foot vessels. But let's go over our essentials that we're bringing along with us here. This one is not Coast Guard required, but obviously you got to have rope on the boat. This is going to be good quality dock line, that in case I have to be towed in, I have rope on board. You always got to bring rope when you're on your boat. Just make sure it's something good, strong you can rely upon. Next up is going to be a life jacket here. This is my classic Sea-Doo life jacket. I'm only going to be by myself today, so you only need as many as the persons on board. So we got one life jacket, which we will be wearing today since it is the Maiden Voyage, and you never know what could happen, so this is the time to wear a life jacket. But we will be investing in those fancier life jackets that are the smaller ones that inflate upon going in the water, but we haven't gotten those yet. So for now, one life jacket. Also required to have a fire extinguisher, which we have a compartment for right in the hatch up there. Bringing that with us today. And we have our ditch bag from our boat. We haven't had a chance yet to buy new safety equipment since we literally just got the boat last week. So I actually took our ditch bag from the big boat over there. So we'll just go ahead and open this up and show you what's required in here. In case we are going at night, we have flares. This is actually the flare gun, but we also have separate flares right here to go with us. That is going to be our distress signal for nighttime fishing if we were to be going out at night. We have our daytime distress signal, which is going to be a distress flag. And we're going to have our soundproofing device, which is a whistle, and I think we actually have a couple more here scattered around the boat as well. And highly suggest keeping all this in a waterproof bag like this. This is just your standard waterproof marine diving bag. And you can go ahead and close up. Buckle up, 100% waterproof. I know it's a little moldy looking, that's because it sits in the side compartment of our boat, but that's where we know where it lives. A nice high visibility color, because the idea is if something were to happen, we grab our ditch bag, toss it in the water with us. We have all of our safety equipment that we're going to need to try to signal somebody, and it's all going to be staying nice and dry, and you'll have to look around for it. And the last thing we're going to have to check to make sure we are Coast Guard approved, which we looked at last night actually, is that we have our navigation lights, our red and our green navigation, and I know they both work because I just looked at them last night. So that's what it's going to take to get this boat here Coast Guard approved. Now I am also going to be bringing the title and the registration for the boat and trailer with me as well, because you always should have that when you're out on the boat, because it's also required. Okay, maybe our trailer locking mechanism, the tongue there, needs a little bit of work. But one of the nice things about this boat being smaller like this and lightweight is that you see I could just roll the boat forward. I could just lift it up and put it right on the hitch. Don't have to worry about backing to the boat by myself without a backup camera and make sure I don't hit the back of the trailer or anything. But yeah, it is nice to be able to just lift it up and put it on the hitch. Not that we're going very far, but it's good practice to make sure that you ratchet down the bow of the boat and the stern here as well. Oh yeah, a crucial step, just make sure you put the plug in. We're gonna go ahead and do that here instead of waiting till when we get to the ramp. We got another monumental moment going on here. We got the first gas going into the boat. We're going to be running ethanol-free gas into this, just like we do with the boat. It's going to help with the longevity of the motor, especially since it only has 33 hours onto it. Hopefully we'll get a nice, good long life out of it. But we're going to have 5 gallons of ethanol-free. Gas tank's at about half. It's a 15-gallon gas tank. So we should be getting this thing almost to full. If you guys fill up your boat or any other toys with jerry cans like this, highly invest in this investment from Harbor Freight. It's just an electric gas pump. That way you don't have to worry about spilling your gas. You don't gotta lift up those heavy cans anymore. It costs like 25 bucks, something like that. Definitely worth the investment. Well, I do have some good news. Our deep cycle battery here did take a charge last night. Charged it for about 12 hours and it's about 80% charged, which is awesome. That is really, really slow at 6 amps. But hey, we're gonna be able to use our trolling motor today, it looks like. So we're gonna go ahead and hook this bad boy up. All right, now that our trolling motor battery is all hooked up, tucked away, got our starting battery over here, all good as well. Let's test out the trolling motor, make sure it works. Put it up to speed 1, turn it on, and she spins. Looks like we're gonna have a trolling motor to play with today. Everything is working, guys. This is awesome. All right, the last thing I'm gonna do here and recommend that you guys all do for your maiden voyage of your new skiff or any boat is just gonna be a visual inspection. Now with these problems I've had with the batteries, I've kind of gone through this boat a lot, but there are a couple things I noticed that need to be tightened. And I noticed our little tackle center thing over here had a loose screw as well. Now all that's going to be left here for getting a little salty ready for today is going to be throwing in my personal stuff, lunches and fishing gear and stuff like that. But that's going to go ahead and be in next week's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, preparing our new micro skiff, little 16-foot little salty over here. If you guys did enjoy this video, maybe found it helpful in some way, definitely hit the like button, definitely consider subscribing down below. If you're looking forward to the future adventures here with Little Salty, I'm talking camping with it, traveling with it, West Coast, East Coast Keys, all that kind of good stuff, let me know down in the comments. I am super hyped for it and super glad we got everything working now. Stay tuned. We're gonna have some awesome fishing adventures here coming next week, hopefully. Thank you guys again for watching. See you next week. Until my next video, remember to keep living salty.